International Center of Justice for Palestinians and Amnesty International hosted a legal panel on how enforcing international law can secure justice for Palestinians.
I came to London with a delegation of negotiators to encourage the UK to recognize Palestine and to support its admission to the UN. This was important to us for a couple of reasons. First, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court had told us that if the UN recognized Palestine as a state, then the ICC would accept Palestine as a state party to the Rome Statute, which meant that war crimes committed on Palestinian territory could be brought to the ICC. And second, we believed that by elevating Palestine's status, this would push back against Israeli attempts to blur distinctions between Israel and the West Bank, which Israel, under Prime Minister Netanyahu at that time, wanted to permanently annex.
The court has not made its definitive determination. There is no ruling yet. But it has, in 3 separate instances, ordered provisional measures that are designed to prevent irreparable harm to the rights protected under the Genocide Convention. And there are some areas where the court was more explicit and prescriptive. The court found that there was public indirect incitement to genocide. That is a treaty provision that has been violated by Israel, and ordered Israel to desist, and Israeli officials to desist, and to investigate public indirect incitement.
We asked Professor of Criminal Law Gerhard Kemp whether the law can truly change the facts on the ground for Palestinians. Here's what he had to say.
As we know, Palestinians are going through a dire situation now. So the question, can the law do something for them now? Can the law change the facts on the ground for the Palestinians?
I think the last part of your question is actually the most important one, changing the facts on the ground. And I think many of the provisional measures, for instance, that the South Africans asked for at the International Court of Justice relate to the conditions on the ground, meaning humanitarian aid should flow in. Of course, the war itself must stop, but short of that, there can be many things that relate to the facts on the ground for the Palestinians, including ending of the occupation, ending of settlements, because all of that are related. And that is where international pressure comes in. And the value of the law is the law gives the language that the politicians can use to change those facts on the ground. And the powerful states like the UK, France, the United States with influence must use the language of the law, put pressure on Israel, and to change those facts relating to settlements, relating to humanitarian aid that should flow in, and ultimately providing them with their right to self-determination to realize their own rights in their own territory.
However, we haven't seen a real enforcement of the court's findings. Why is that? What's holding back that enforcement?
I think the lack of enforcement speaks to, of course, the political reality that Israel has powerful allies, of course, in the West that protect its interests. But we see some subtle changes, though. I mean, for instance, the weapons issue is a pertinent one where, especially in Europe, European powers like Germany, France and the UK are starting to change their licensing and provision of weapons to Israel. So there we can see a real life and sort of a reality-based change in behavior of states. But of course the number one state that must change its behavior is the United States as the most important ally of Israel. So if they are not going to align their policies towards Israel with the International Court of Justice orders and advisory opinion, then I'm afraid we are going to see a lack of progress with the resultant rising in the sort of worsening of the conditions on the ground for the Palestinians.